Please stand by.
Excuse me, I'm talking.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Warning. What is your name?
I am Jay Ramone, and this is the Jay Ramone Podcast.
If the FCC knew you were doing drugs on the air, shut us down!
This gets more work done more accurately.
I will sit down with bands, artists, chefs, business owners, and fellow Oklahomans to talk about their projects and dealing with day-to-day life.
This stuff can give you brain damage.
This is the Jay Ramone Podcast.
Power of the internet is truly amazing.
This is the Jay Ramone Podcast. We are backstage in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Cains Ballroom, and we are here with a very special guest, John Moreland. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this, John.
Absolutely. Thank you.
John, I've been a fan for a really, really long time, and you and I have known each other for a long time, but it all stemmed from two individuals from Tulsa, Oklahoma. One, Rick Horton from Cancer Sucks. He was one of the first people to ever give me a Black Gold Band CD, which I think you guys had recorded at a Hank Charles studio, maybe?
Yes, that sounds right.
And then the other gentleman was a guy named Jordan Heitshoe, and he started a website back then called Tulsa Music Pulse. Yeah. And it was a message board where all Tulsa musicians kind of united together. And those two people are how I came to your music. And then I discovered 30 Called Arson after the fact. But you are one of those songwriters that over the years, I have just become a bigger fan of with each record. And each record sounds completely different. How do you find the influences to make great art like that consistently, but each record be completely different than the previous one, have a totally different vibe, different sound, all of that?
Thank you. I mean, I just kind of, maybe, I guess I would say I have eclectic taste. And so, you know, I've always been the kind of person that whenever I listen to something that I get and I start to like get a little obsessed with it, I just think I want to try to make music like that, whatever it is. And so, you know, yeah, I think that through the years, all those different things like start to seep in, and you know, you can't do the same thing forever in anything, in any field. You know, I think that would get pretty boring. So yeah, I gotta like keep it moving.
You do this melodic finger picking thing that the moment I hear it, I know it's one of your songs, that it's unlike anybody else I've ever heard, because it's very much in tune with the melody of the song.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know, why. Well, I don't really know what I'm doing. I just know I've been told that I have a distinct guitar style before. So I know I played, you know, like sometimes when I play on friends' records, if we're, you know, John Calvin or other people that, you know, I try to avoid playing acoustic guitar on other people's music because I've learned that it just kind of sounds too much like me if I play acoustic guitar. So I try to play bass or drums or some, you know, other stuff, but like on other people's music, that is. But yeah, I don't. And with the finger style, like I just kind of have slowly developed the thing that I do, and I don't think too much about it, and just kind of do what is natural. Couldn't tell you why it sounds unique, but I guess it does.
It's very much your own sound. Like you have definitely made your own trademark there, the way you do it. Because every time I hear it, I'm like, shit, that's John.
I'm glad.
So with the new record, Visitor, did you self-produce that, or did you go? What was your mindset there into self-producing versus going into the studio with somebody?
Yeah, Visitor was recorded during a year where I didn't play any shows and didn't really do much of anything, in public or anything, kind of just laid low and hung out at home. And so, when the songs were ready and I was feeling like I wanted to record an album, it kind of just doing it at home felt like the natural choice. And I think also just a timing thing, like I was ready to do it now, and like if you book studio time, you got to wait till, at least a few months till the studio and everybody, you got to get like schedules lined up. So
that's not exactly how creativity works, is it?
Right. Yeah. So like, I was just kind of ready to do it. And, just did it in the living room.
I feel very, very lucky that I've been able to watch you play, over a dozen times or more over the years, getting you see you play everything from small venues to large venues. And I'm excited now that the rest of the world is starting to catch on to what I've been saying for a long time. And so to see you have this growing fan base and this all across the country, all across the world, people are starting to discover the greatness that kind of all happened right here in northeastern Oklahoma. And we're very fortunate to have been able to see you play as many times as we have.
Thank you so much for saying that, man. Like, I just try to like keep getting out there and showing people what I do. That's kind of what I've learned. If I just like, there've been times when it's hard to get out there. It's hard to be on tour. It's hard to stay on tour or whatever. And, but yeah, like when I'm able to like show up for it, and just put myself out there and do my thing, good things seem to happen. So I'm going to keep doing it.
What's your favorite venues that you've played so far?
There's really a lot of them. Like I'll try to name a few, but I'm going to inevitably leave a bunch out. But like, Union Chapel in London is like an old church that comes to mind. A lot of them are in Europe. I mean, I played, I don't know what it's called, but it was in Bergen, Norway, and it's like the King's Banquet Hall or something. It was like a castle, more or less.
That's rad.
Yeah. The green room was like a dungeon, and then,
is that a normal venue now? Or was that like a special event type deal?
It was a festival, yeah.
Okay.
But I would say I have played, a much higher percentage of churches and old, historic churches in Europe than in the U.S.
They made great listening rooms.
Yeah,
they were designed for that. The science behind it.
And I think that it's maybe. I mean, this is just a theory, but it seems like maybe the churches over there are a little less rigidly conservative or whatever. So it's kind of, I don't know. They seem more open to letting things happen, like the church being used as kind of a community space.
That's exactly what they were designed for when they were built, was to house all of these community events back then. We've gotten away from that over here, but back then that's how it was.
Yeah.
So out of the I know you've probably played thousands of shows at this point, so it's hard to name your favorite venues, but what are some venues out there that you haven't played that you really wished you could have, even venues that aren't around anymore?
Oh, well, one that I was just in Colorado last week, I guess, and I didn't play Denver this time. I played Boulder and Colorado Springs, but I had a hotel room in Denver that was kind of just the best, kind of stay in between. And I kept driving by. My hotel room was near Red Rocks, and I kept like driving on the highway, driving by Red Rocks, and I've never played Red Rocks, and I have a lot of friends who have. I'm not big enough to headline Red Rocks at all, but I have a lot of friends, you know, who have gotten to open for people at Red Rocks and stuff like that. And it's just never.
You bet your ass if you're playing Red Rocks, I'm making that trip to Colorado, buddy. I will make that trip because I've never been to Red Rocks, so that would be a perfect intro right there.
Yeah, we'll experience it together. Yeah, that one's. I'm like jealous of my friends who have gotten to play Red Rocks. So, that's a fresh one I was reminded of recently.
Yeah, I'm. Now you got me all giddy for a John show at Red Rocks.
Yeah.
So when I left Tulsa, I moved to Oklahoma City and worked in radio there for about 5 or 6 years, and then I moved to Ardmore, Oklahoma, which is where I grew up. But I hadn't lived there since I graduated high school. When I graduated and went to college, I left and kind of started my career. So moving back 10 plus years later, it was kind of culture shock coming back to this, you know, sleepy little town that didn't have a 24-hour Walmart when I left. But one of the things I got to do was I did rock radio, but I also got to work on a country radio station. And one of the things that I got to do was a Red Dirt and Americana specialty show every night of the week, Monday through Friday. And I didn't realize it when I took the job, but in southern Oklahoma at the time, there were all of these pretty successful country artists who lived within the listening area, and that was the station that they listened to. There was Chris Cagle, there was Mike McClure, there was Doug Stone, there was Randy Travis, there was Blake and Miranda.
Travis lived down there?
Yeah, dude, he still lives down there in the listening area.
Oh,
I can make that connection happen, John. We're going to hook that up.
All right.
But
big fan.
Blake and Miranda were together at the time and lived in Tishomingo.
Okay, yeah.
And Miranda, or she would have her mom call the radio station when we played a song that she liked that she didn't know who it was and wanted to know. Yeah. So when In the Throes comes out, I download the digital wave, buy it and download it immediately, and I put Nobody Gives a Damn About Songs Anymore in the show library, the server for that show, and I start playing it. And that's one of the songs that she had her mom call the hotline and say, who is this? Miranda wants to know what song this is.
Okay, cool.
And your song has done that to every single one of them. Every single one of them have called or sent an email saying, what was the artist that did this song with this line that you played at this time? Sick. So I've been influencing every part of Oklahoma on Oklahoma airwaves, different formats. It doesn't matter. It could be a rock station, it could be an alternative station, country station.
Yeah.
My bosses don't know what I'm doing, so I could get fired, but they haven't fired me yet. So maybe I just keep doing that over and over again.
Yeah. Amen.
So this is kind of the end of this tour cycle for you. Is that correct?
Sort of. I mean, I don't know. It never really ends, but there's a little bit of a break after. Let's see. I think there's like a month or 6 week long break,
and then back at it.
Yeah, and then a little bit.
I saw the flyer today, like literally this morning, for the show at the Mercury, the Tom Petty tribute that you're going to be a part of. And that lineup looks pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm just doing a song. They asked me to sing a song. So
can you reveal which one you're going to do?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do Wildflowers.
Dude, that'll be really dope.
I just picked a folky one, and
I like that.
Yeah.
And I think your voice fits well with Petty songs.
I mean, he's one of my favorites since, as far back as I can remember, because he's one of my dad's favorites too. So I just grew up hearing him, and they were like, I was at Mercury the night this show was conceived. It was like, I think it might have been me who suggested a Tom Petty tribute.
I think it's rad, man.
Ashley was saying they wanted to do more tributes, and they were trying to think of, people to do a tribute to.
I love the idea of bringing all these Oklahoma artists together to pay tribute to an artist like that. So you get everyone's different take and different spin on it.
Yeah, and that's his birthday, and I happen to be home, so I'm going to do it.
We're going to have to get you like a mud crutch hat or something to wear at the show.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe if I can find a vintage mud crutch button, I'll mail it to you, and we'll do it upright.
That'd be amazing.
Well, John, before we finish this, one of my all-time favorite things in the world is street tacos and taco trucks and little hole-in-the-wall places. And you used one of my favorite taco spots of all time in one of your music videos, Tacos Don Francisco.
Yeah.
Had you been there beforehand? Is that one of your spots, your regular go-tos?
Yeah, that was really my spot at that time. That was my main taco
Was
spot.
that the one on 11th?
Uh-huh.
See, that was the best one, because at one time there were two, and that was the best one.
Yeah.
Well,
I never went to the other one, but like, yeah, it was the one on 11th. I mean, it's still really good, but I don't live. I live so far from it now. But now there's a spot in Bixby called Real Taco that is the spot.
Well, I'm gonna look it up, because as a connoisseur, I'm gonna have to try it.
They've been pretty successful in the last couple of years. There's 3 of those now too. There's like one in Glenpool and one in Tulsa somewhere, but the one in Bixby is the one I always go to on Memorial.
Well, if you ever meet the owners, tell them I will help them find real estate in Oklahoma City if they're willing to come down and help me out.
I bet they would be.
One other thing before we leave, you have always been a big supporter of your fellow Oklahoma musicians and fellow Oklahoma artists. Is there any artists out there that you want to throw out there that we should all check out and go listen to right now?
Yeah, I think everybody should listen to Justin Bloss, who's opening the show tonight. I think that he's a very, underrated songwriter from Tulsa, and one of the best I've ever heard. And I think
that's a bold statement coming from you, John. You're one of the best any of us have ever heard, and if you say that, that's pretty incredible.
I think Justin's an amazing songwriter. And I think Ken Pomeroy is also an amazing songwriter and has an amazing voice. And lots of people are starting to find out about her. And those are the only 2 openers I've had all year have been Ken and Justin. So,
well, thank you very much for taking the time. We really appreciate it. John's latest record is called Visitor. It is out now, and this has been the Jay Ramone Podcast.